Some people had a problem in this video right here with me saying that Joe Rogan is in the same boat with Ethan Klein with regard to the existence of you-know-what. Can we get some disagreement with that? Of course we can get some disagreement and healthy debate with that. Welcome back to High Impact Flicks. Let's go ahead and roll the intro. People ask me all the time, hey Brian, do you really use that keto elevate stuff and does it really work? The answer is yes and yes. Never in my entire life have I lost body fat so quickly. Not even in my prime at 25, which is over 25 years ago. I'm approaching 54 this year. If you want to support the channel and do your health a favor, grab some with my link in the description. This is a video that I just uploaded to my main channel called What's Really Going On Here? Proof Joe Rogan and Ethan Klein, H3H3 Productions, are on the same team. In the context of the video, on the same team with regard to them promoting the existence of the you-know-what. Anybody who's promoting the existence of the you-know-what without proof of the you-know-what is doing you-know-what. It's fear-based. So I wanted to respond to some detractors right here. I have nothing against these people that I'm about to read from. And I appreciate any kind of, challenge to what I say or my ideology or my viewpoint or whatever. I really do appreciate it because I think about this stuff and I think, okay, is this right? Am I doing this? Is what this person is accusing me of doing, am I really doing it? This person said, this is Just a Dumb Farmer. He says, what I love is how Brian declares everyone else is a fraud. Believe me instead. I've never asked anyone to believe me. Don't believe me. Question everything and everybody. Don't check into anybody's cult of personality. I say none of us is greater than all of us. And where have I declared everyone else a fraud? I don't call Joe Rogan a fraud, Dr. Malone a fraud, whoever I disagree with. I'm not calling them a fraud. I disagree with what they're saying. I disagree with what they're doing. And here's why I disagree with what they're saying and what they're doing. You can make your own decision and determination. That's why I say, hey, leave your thoughts about this for the world and the global thought police in the comment section below. None of us is greater than all of us. So he claims that I declare everyone else a fraud. Believe me instead. Don't believe me. Don't just take my word for it. Do your own research. Does you-know-what? Does the con job 1984 by George Orwell actually exist? You have to answer that question. If there are a whole bunch of people out there believing it exists without any kind of proof, then what does that make them? What have they checked into? They've checked into some kind of cult where they're actually believing the cult leaders. The cult leaders said, yes, this exists. This is wreaking havoc. This is a public health risk. And this is what you have to do. And everybody's just following along and obeying. Nobody's questioning everything. We're just going to take your word for it. Pastor, father, sister, nuns, priests. We just believe you, priests of mainstream media, as we stick the morphine drip of mainstream media nonsense straight into our veins. So no, I have not declared. If I have, please give me the clip where I've declared everybody else but me a fraud, and I want you to believe me. That's just it's accusation without substantiation is the height of ignorance. Show me one example where I've done that. And then he says, or don't believe anything in the world. That sounds like CYA con job if I've ever heard one. I don't know what CYA I don't know what that is. He basically doesn't want you figuring anything out, wants you to stay confused. I don't want anybody to be confused. What I would like is a world where everybody just follows the golden rule, do to others what you would want done to you. Conversely, don't do to others what you wouldn't want done to you. What I would like is nobody initiating unjust force and violence on people who haven't done anything wrong. We all know those things are wrong. It's not my opinion that those things are wrong. All you have to do is ask yourself, do I want to be harmed? Do I want somebody to harm me against my will? When I'm trying to back out of my driveway, do I want my neighbor taking his Ford F-350 and ramming the back of my Toyota Prius or whatever it is?
No, you don't want that. If you say you do, then you're insane or you're just freaking lying. You don't want that. Do I want somebody to give me whiplash? I want somebody to take a baseball bat and bash in my patella, my kneecaps? No, you don't want that. Do I want somebody breaking into my house at 2 o'clock in the morning, threatening the lives of my family and stealing all my stuff? No, you don't want that. Well, if you don't want that, then you don't want government, because that's what government does every single day of the week. They threaten to harm you. If you don't do this, if you don't fill out your IRS forms properly, we're going to come to your house. We're going to give you an audit. We're going to take money out of your bank account. We're going to freeze all assets. If you continue to resist, we're going to haul your ass to a cage, to a rape cage. So I just asked this guy, please substantiate one thing that you've accused me of. Thanks. And then he wrote back and really didn't answer my question, but he says, just listen to your video. You basically cast shade on everyone but yourself, insinuating that because they don't completely say what you say, none of what they say can be believed because they are CIA or FBI ABC. Robert, if he's referring to Robert Malone, and if he's referring to Joe Rogan, on the Joe Rogan podcast, episode 1757, Robert Malone said he's in good with and has a lot of friends and close connections with people in the CIA. Robert Malone says that he came down with Con Job 1984 by George Orwell and then submitted and bowed down to the Alter Jabbo twice. Mode RNA was the product that he got and still has swimming around in his bloodstream. And then he said he got the Con Job 1984 by George Orwell again. Well, then how can you get something that people have shown time and time again, even top virologists from China, saying that that thing that we're talking about, which is the bedrock for all the propaganda and the entire psychological operations show that we see right now, is the existence of that thing? How come the top virologist says, oh yeah, it hasn't been isolated? That's the problem. It hasn't been isolated. Well, that is the problem. That's kind of a problem, huh? Since all these tests, PCR and otherwise, are going to create all these Johns Hopkins University fear porn cases, and then from those cases, they're going to exact the Hegelian dialectic of problem reaction. Look, we have a problem right here. We've got all these cases over here. Yeah, of course, it was never isolated, visualized, verified, and purified, but we have this test that's trying to determine something that hasn't been isolated. Now we have all these case numbers, and now Johns Hopkins University, who attended the same meeting with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the World Economic Forum, Think Great Reset over at Event 201, and now they're all in cahoots together and making boatloads of money for the big farm guy. If Joe Rogan is promoting not only that paradigm, but because Joe Rogan refuses to have somebody sit down across the table with him until they submit to a big farm guy test, what is that actually doing? That's feeding into and promoting the new normal that the guys at the Great Reset, WEF, the World Economic Forum, and the Johns Hopkins University, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and Event 201 wanted to happen. We want you to not be okay sitting across the table from somebody until they've submitted to a test from the big farm guy. That's what they want. So if you're promoting and propagating that, whose side are you on? It's not on the side of freedom. You're propagating the new normal. You have become a part of the very problem that you're claiming to expose. That's why I'd love to talk with Joe Rogan. I think we would have a decent discussion. I've never called Joe Rogan a shill. I don't know if he's a shill or not. I don't know if he's working for the big pharma. I don't know if he's working for NASA, even though he likes wearing the shirt and promoting the idea that, we went to the moon back in the 1960s with less computing power than we have on like a Casio calculator. I got some serious issues with that. Does that mean I'm right? Let's talk about it. This is interesting stuff. It's not about me being right or you being right. It's about, hey, what's the truth here? What's really going on? Has anybody asked the question, key bono, who benefits from all this? How are we going to benefit with a new normal? We got a new normal back in 2001 and it hasn't been normal since. I want to go back at least pre-1970, August 15th, 1971, where Nixon closed the gold window. I want to go at least back to pre-1946, where they had the Bretton Woods Agreement and, pinned the U.S. dollar to $35 an ounce gold. I want to go back to at least 1913 before we got this centralized Federal Reserve, who's in control of the money system, and Amschel Rothschild said, give me control over money, and I don't give a damn who makes the laws. See, we watched that previous video of Baxter Mill, and that guy was bantering about whether, mandates or laws or policies or whatever. Amschel Rothschild, make it a mandate, make it a policy, make it a law. I don't give a damn. I control the nation's wealth. I control the value of the entire nation, the entire world's currency. And we don't even have to print things into existence anymore. We can just digitize it. Trillions of dollars. What does that do to the dollars that you've already earned? It diminishes the value, which means they did what? They extracted, they reached back in time, and they reached into the present and stole the product of your time and laboring energies and my time and laboring energies. They're stealing our time, which means they're stealing our lives. This matters. Just a dumb farmer. This matters. Does that make me, I'm right and nobody else is, everybody else disagrees with me as a shill? I don't know if they are or not. I don't know if they are or not. He says, I know from my own journey that I was very similar to all these people. I believed what I believed because that's all the info I knew at that point in time. Yes, that's why I hold a Joe Rogan and a Dr. Malone and a Peter McCullough to a higher standard, because these aren't people that are stupid. I do not think for a second Joe Rogan, Peter McCullough, and Dr. Robert Malone are stupid people. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know why the creator or the inventor, or the guy who's got 11 patents as of 1989 on mRNA technology, would bow down at the altar of Jabbo. He even talked about the adverse side effects that he got and still has from bowing down at the altar of Jabbo. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if he's being paid off. I don't know if he's a shill. To me, that's irrelevant. What is relevant is, what is the information coming out of his mouth? In what way is Ethan Klein and Joe Rogan on the same boat? Because they're propagating the same bedrock psychological operation that we've heard for the last 24 months. Just a Dumb Farmer says, as time passed and I uncovered more, I was able to connect the dots more and more. Not everyone wakes up, arrived. I agree. Like you seem to think you do. Just another cut. It's just another ad hominem. It's completely out in left field. I constantly say, the more that I learn, me and Trish even talk about this sometimes, often lately, but the more we learn, the more we realize, wow, we don't know crap. I don't know what the heck's going on with the contagion thing. I don't know what the heck is going on with, what's in it or what isn't in it. Is it graphene oxide? What's this doing to people? I don't know. How far can we take VAERS? I don't know. All I know is that these people spent some considerable time, a lot of people, tens of thousands of people compiling, here's what happened to me the same day I bowed down at the altar of Jabbo. Day 1 after I bowed down. Day 2, day 3. And Sally, who's 23 and healthy before, is no longer with us. I don't know. Seems like these are important things. You do a disservice to all of us on the journey to truth by unconditionally throwing people under the bus. How is questioning and calling out what Joe Rogan said and being I worked for a division of the NIH, which isn't the division of the NIH that funded gain of function research in Wuhan, China, but I am a part of the NIH. I know Anthony Fauci. I have a lot of friends in the CIA. I bowed down at the altar of Jabbo. I'm going to take your test. I'm going to perpetuate the new normal. How is that throwing somebody? Just a dumb farmer. I just got a question for you. How is that throwing somebody under the bus? They may be, as you say, plants sent to deceive us. They also just might not be as far along on their truth journey. I don't know what it is, but I do know that what they're saying ain't adding up. For all we know, you could be on to deceive us and get us not to trust or believe anything, truth or lie. Well, if that's true, then all you have to do is look at my words and then go back and go, see, you said this right here. Got a big question about it. This doesn't look good. This is a red flag. And then we can talk about it. But to make these broad brush statements, that seems like a disservice. In these videos, the general tenor is I'm showing you why I believe what I do. Why do I think Ethan Klein and Joe Rogan are in the same boat? Because Ethan Klein says this exists. Joe Rogan says this exists. They both are in the same boat in regard to they're both believers. Now, is there something new on the horizon that I wouldn't necessarily call The Con Job 1984 by George Orwell? I know people personally in my zone of influence, Trish being one of them, who lost their sense of taste and smell. Never seen that before in my life. That looks like something new. Now, maybe somebody in 2011, maybe a bunch of people in 2011 went through the same thing. That looks like something new to be, but that is not what they're talking about in Con Job 1984 by George Orwell. That's not what they're talking about. Completely different than going, yeah, you know what? A friend of mine wasn't even ill other than immediately lost his sense of taste and smell. I know there's 3 people that are very close to me in my life that exact same thing happened to me, and there was no other symptoms. Like, you know, you can lose your sense of taste and smell when you get a common head cold and you get a stuffy nose. People are like, oh no, that's the common cold. I don't think it's the common cold if you have no other symptoms and you automatically can smell nothing and taste nothing for an extended period of time, and your nose is clear. That's weird to me. Do I have the answer as to what it is? Nope, but I know what it's not. It's not how they describe The Con Job 1984 by George Orwell. You got to be willing to admit that. That is not what they're talking about. So he says, if you are truly seeking truth and have had a journey to truth of your own, you should be able to understand what I'm saying. But what you're saying is not in accordance with truth, and you're casting accusations that are absolutely not true. If you are indeed a plant yourself, you probably won't care. That's why I go over this, because I do care. This is important. There's another guy that says this. Jason Baldini says, again, you are wrong. You're gaslighting just like the rest of them are on the same team. No. Are they on my team or your team also? No. The whole point of this thing was I proved that they're on the same team. So I just wrote back to him, the definition of gaslighting is to manipulate someone by psychological means into questioning their own sanity. And it is a manipulation technique to make someone who otherwise is sane, make them think that they're insane, so the guy who's doing the manipulating can get their way with that person. That's what this guy's saying. You're gaslighting just like the rest of them. How are you gaslighting? By questioning and calling out, hey, this doesn't look good. There's a red flag. That's not good. That's leading you down the wrong road. That's perpetuating the new normal. Both promote, you know what? Is that not true? Oh, I put pinpoint the gaslighting that you think I've ignited in this video. The point is they, both Rogan and Ethan Klein from H3H3 Productions, both promote, you know what? Is that not true? Yes, it is true. They both promote it. Malone promotes it. McCullough promotes it. I got a big problem with that. They're promoting the bedrock of the psychological operation, the very fundamental core, the inner core of what this whole thing is all about. Are they not on the same team in that context? The answer is yes, they are, by their own words. That's what's being discussed here. The you know what is the very bedrock of the entire psyop. They both prove from their words that they are promoters of it and participants in the new normal because of it. So what specifically was I wrong about in this video? The reason I go over this kind of stuff, oh, Brian, you're just trying to defend yourself. I'm not trying to defend myself. I think these things are very important. And if I'm wrong, then you guys have a different look than me. You can steer me in the right direction. That's what truth is all about. That's what walking in truth is all about. That's what walking in wisdom is all about. That's what none of us is greater than all of us is all about. So that's the last video right there. It might be a good idea while you still can to convert your fiat currency notes into long-term storable food. Use my link in the description and get $100 off instantly for this survival food. Do it while you still can because, guys, I cannot guarantee that they're going to have this available in the future.